Okay, so welcome everybody to our International Education in China event, hearing from those in the field. So my name is Will Smith. I am the coordinator for the Comparative Education and International Development community here at Morehouse School of Education and Sport, the University of Edinburgh. So we're really excited to put this event on. We think it's going to be a great opportunity to hear from those working in international education in China and give our students a little bit of an insight on what the different opportunities are in international education. So as I just mentioned, the aim today of the panel is to hear from those currently working in the field of international education in order to really expand the horizons of students at Morehouse by demonstrating the variety of professional options in the field. So I'm really excited today to have a dynamic event. We'll start very briefly with an introduction to international education in China by Rona Luo. So Rona's been the one organizing this panel, so I'm very thankful for her for all of her leadership in pulling this together. Then we'll have 4 great panelists, each sharing their own experiences for about 5 minutes, followed up by a panel question, and then we'll really open it up to questions for everybody. Now, before we get to Rona, I want to, welcome our panelists. Right. We have 4 excellent panelists today. So, and they'll introduce themselves in a second as well, but I want to thank them first for joining us. We have Min Wei, who's the regional director for the Asia Oxford AQA International Exams. Min has 10 plus years of experience in China and Asia's education market, with a deep understanding of connections and expertise in international education, including studying abroad, assessment and ed techs, a knowledge and understanding of the educational landscapes also outside of China, including the UK, US, Southeast Asia, India, and Pakistan, and more than 10 years of experience in dialogues and projects with Chinese central and regional ministries of education. So thanks, Min, for joining us today. We also have Wang, who is the principal of the Beijing Open University International Curriculum Center. She's a senior member of the NACAC, the International ACAC, and is a certified college counselor. She has more than 3 years working experience in the university and colleges of the US and Canada, and more than 10 years working experience overall in international education area. Our third panelist today is Chaojun Liu. Chaojun is the vice president and a founding member of ASDAN China, with over 10 years experience in the international education industry, which is dedicated to the North China marketing development. And our final panelist today is Ai. Ao is a counselor for Sphinx International Arts Education. I'm really excited to have her back. She graduated from Morehouse School of Education and Sport here with a master's in MSc in Education. Prior to that, she graduated from Capital University of Economics and Business with a degree of Bachelor's of Arts in English with business translation. So really excited to have all of our panelists here to join us today. Thanks so much. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for students, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from all of you. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and invite Rona up to give us a sense of what international education in China really looks like.
Okay, I will share my screen first, so wait a minute. Here it is. Can see my screen, right? Okay. Okay, here it is. So good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to our panelists in China. So before we have our guests to share their experience in international education in China, I would like to explain a little bit about your thoughts about working in China. And first of all, a little bit about myself. Before taking on this degree, I have worked for over 16 years in international education in China, both as a teacher and in the management team. But I am not an HR. I hope I can, with my own experience, help you get to know more about international education in China. So as the topic, I hope to expand your thoughts. Okay. Now a little bit of the warm-up. So for the MSc graduates, can you please think about your undergraduate background? You don't have to answer this question in the chat box, but you have to think about that and keep that in mind, because that might help you identify the most appropriate job area in the future. And your undergraduate major plus this MSc education degree might be your strength in your future career. So let's move on. When asked about working in China, a lot of the graduates talked about being a teacher, especially being a bilingual teacher in an international school. That's quite reasonable considering the experience in UOE. But you need to think further. What kind of teacher do you want to be? What subjects are you capable of teaching? Or are you capable enough to be strong in the subject to guide the next generation? So this is about being a teacher, but if you are determined to be a subject teacher, then I think it is time that you need to start making preparation for your career, because knowing a subject, knowing the content of the subject does not necessarily make you a good teacher. So you might need to learn a little bit about the potential curriculum. You might also need to learn some of the pedagogical tactics that might help you be a good teacher in the future. Or you might also think about other options in an international school. So today we use international school as a starting point to expand your thoughts. For those of you who are very good at communication, who are creative in using social media, so maybe marketing and admission offices are good options for you to think about. Or if you're good at event planning, student activities, then think about student affairs office. Another very popular position in an international school is counselor, being a counselor. So in almost every international school, there's a counseling office that supports their students for university application. So if you're interested in this area, maybe you can start by at least exploring the website of UOE and try to pay attention to the different entry requirements of different undergraduate programs. That might be a very good starting point. So that's for the counseling work. If you're very organized, then you can think about working for the teaching affairs, especially working as an exam officer. So an exam officer coordinates with overseas education, with overseas exam providers. So they also coordinate exam preparation, teacher resources. They help students register for international exams and also administrate the exam. So that might be another option for those organized person. Of course, there are many more departments in an international school that you can think about, but these are the main areas that you can start your research. So I talked about working in an international school. Now let's move a little bit about beyond international school, because there are a lot of partner organizations, institutions for international schools. So the first kind that you can think about are some of the exam boards, exam organizers, like our guest Ming Wei from Oxford AQA, who provide support for schools who provides A-level curriculum in China. Or you can also think about College Board that provides services for American-based curriculum, the AP program. Or I think we're all familiar with the language test providers, British Council for IELTS, ETS for TOEFL. So for many of these organizations, they do prefer staff with an international education background to support their job in China. And also for you can also think about publishers. So for international schools, they use a lot of textbook from overseas. So there are publishers like Oxford University Press, like Pearson, like Holder Education. They import textbooks from other countries to China, or they even develop bilingual language books or bilingual books with editors that are fluent in both Chinese and English. So this will be another option that you can think about. So learning in international schools is a very competitive and challenging journey. Students, especially those who aim at top universities, they usually take part in different kinds of competitions. They do international volunteering work. They also need to take part in programs organized by overseas institutions. So there are, for international schools, the resources are always limited. So there are always other companies that provide such service. One will be ASDAN China, where one of our guests is from today. So they provide extra education resources for students who would like to improve their background to be more competent in their future application to universities. Next, okay. Next, for international schools, there are other education companies. They organize education fairs. They help with student admissions. So these are another group of companies that gather international schools together, and they create a platform for the schools to promote themselves. Though there are harsh restrictions on shadow education, there's still tutoring companies and university application agencies that help students with their learning in the international courses like AP, A-level, IB, or preparing for their portfolio in arts. There are some of the companies do both jobs. They do tutoring and university application together. So they also recruit tutors and counselors all the time. So this might be another area that you can think about. Last but not least, since there's a huge market in international schools for students who want to study in a foreign country. So there are international offices of overseas higher education who set up their offices in China to promote their university and also to provide services for students who aim to study overseas. Or sometimes they even export their education into mainland China. So also for these institutions, according to my knowledge, 80% or even a higher percentage of their staff are with an international background or have experience from overseas education. So these are places that you can also think about. So if you subscribe to their WeChat channel, you may be lucky enough to see their job advertisement. So of course, there are many more that you can explore. And now I think after all these information, some of you might ask, how do I know all these different institutions? Because there are a lot of different organizations that provide such service. How do I get all this information? Now, I think you can reflect back on how you get your resources or your references for your dissertation. We all know that snowball technique is very helpful in expanding dissertation resources and references. So that works similarly for if you want to find information about different institutions. If you subscribe to some of the key institutions, then you read some of the articles that they wrote, and then you might come across other names, organizations, events. Then you move on to search these names and events. You get more organizations. So that's how you get to know this field. So what I've talked about is a very brief and general introduction. So for those who have more questions, please leave it in the chat box. If we have time later, we will answer these questions. So that's all my parts. And thank you. I'll stop my sharing.
Excellent. Thanks, Rona. That's really a nice overall view of international education and the opportunities available to some of our students in China that maybe they're interested in pursuing. All right, I'd like to start our panelists now by inviting Min Wei to go ahead and share his slide. So, and if our panelists have any issues, please let me know. I've got your PowerPoints as well, but that looks like it's coming through nicely. So great to have you again. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. Feel free to start when you are ready. Sorry, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
I think you're muted. We can't hear.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Yeah, sorry about that, and thanks very much for having me, guys. Really glad to be here to share some of my thoughts about international education and career development with some of you guys. So now, before I start, I have a question for all of you guys. Do you know, is any of you familiar with the term "the terrible two"? By a showing of hands here. As expected, probably not for many of you, but essentially it means that when you're 2 years old, you can be adorable most of the time, but you can also be really terrible at times, terrible and annoying at times. Well, that's what my daughter is now. She's about 2 years old, and since I have to work from home now, there is a possibility of her popping into the study and really make a thing here in the overall sharing session. And if that happens, I apologize in advance. Okay, now sort of back to my sharing session here. I'll talk a little bit first and foremost about the organization that I work for, Oxford AQA and Oxford University Press. So essentially, Oxford AQA is a partnership between two really sort of well-established and reputable education organizations, Oxford University Press and AQA as an examination board. The Oxford University Press is part of the University of Oxford. It is the largest publishing house in the world, actually, and then focused on academic publishing as well as education publishing. I'm sure many of you growing up have used at least one or two Oxford published dictionaries in your studying career, and that's where we come in. With AQA, I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but essentially it's the largest provider of GCSEs and A-levels in the UK. And the two, by forming together, the mission of Oxford AQA is to offer A-levels and GCSEs to schools and students outside of that of UK with an aspiration to study in top-ranking universities around the world. So that's what we do here. So it's and about me, I think Will did quite a good and impressive introduction about myself. A couple of highlights about myself. I've always worked in education in China. As a matter of fact, my father is a university professor in China. My mother and my grandparents all work in the local education bureaus back in the day. So it's safe to say I come from a sort of education family and tradition, and I've always wanted to work in education in China. So in terms of my experience, I have over 10 years experience in the education sort of space in China, especially in international education. I've also, for a stretch of time, I was also leading the Oxford AQA business in Southeast Asia, India, and Pakistan. So quite an extensive experience also looking at the different new territories and understanding the market landscape there. That's quite interesting. I carry another title also. I am the head of new business development for Oxford University Press. And that's quite an interesting job, to be honest. And the fact that, Oxford University Press has been around for over 100 years now, so is the university itself. So as you guys can imagine, it's essentially a very traditional and reputable organization that places, academic rigor and its reputation at the heart of everything it does. But where my responsibility essentially sort of focuses on new business development, exploring new, innovations and new models and sort of digital transformations for that very traditional organization. So it's a constant struggle, to be honest. How do you strike a balance between, staying safe and maintaining our standards and sort of reputation of the Oxford University, but at the same time looking at innovation and try to adapt and change to a very dynamic market like China. So that's always what fascinates me about my current job. And I guess, in the later sessions, we can talk a little bit more about that specifically. How do you strike that balance and how do you sort of manage change? Now, let me, the third thing I was required to talk about is the changing trend in my own career as in international education. I think it's safe to say, it's changing quite drastically in the past couple of years. Actually, a couple of factors contribute to this. Obviously, the COVID has changed the way that we live and consequently changed the way that we learn and study. So that has a significant impact, as a matter of fact, in education and international education in China. I don't know how closely you guys are following the policies and regulations in China, but essentially in July last year, we had probably the most drastic sort of policy change and implementation of a new policy in over a decade in sort of the overall education sector. While it's primarily focusing on the tuition centers and the likes of Xindongfang, or what we call the sort of what we call the 培训机构, but I think fundamentally, sort of the way that the Chinese education market grows and sort of delivers education to Chinese learners has changed fundamentally because of that. Some might say that it's bad news for people in the industry overall, but I'd say it's not all bad. I think there are positives, and as a matter of fact, nothing is constant. It's changing all the time anyway. International relations in recent years, it's changing constantly as well. As a matter of fact, I studied international relations in my sort of university years, so that's always been a subject of interest to me. But as a objective sort of factor, international relations does factor in the overall landscape of international education in China. And last but not least, digital acceleration is changing the way that we learn things, and that can be ignored. One of the major responsibilities for me in my capacity as head of new business development for the press is looking at that digital transformation for OUP as a university organization. So essentially dealing with all these changes, I guess in the open question section, we can talk a little bit more about, how do you deal with all these different changes and how do you adjust? What sort of mentality and skill set do you need? But at the end of the day, as educators, both for Oxford AQA and Oxford University Press, one of the key agenda for us in our everyday work, in our product development, and in our market engagement is essentially ask ourselves, what are the essential skills and qualities in a world in which change is the only constant? It's changing so much in recent years. So what kind of students are we looking for to develop and build? What sort of skills and quality do we advise our students to really take, and subsequently, how do we design our curriculum and courses accordingly? So that's really one of the things that I wanted to touch upon today, but maybe in a later session. And with that wraps up my introduction. Sorry if I've gone over 5 minutes now, but thanks very much for the time.
Thank you so much, man. So I want to invite now Minja up. So she is one of our event planning team members, and she's going to ask a follow-up question to Min and then help coordinate and manage our panel. So Minja, go ahead and jump on. It's over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Minja, and thanks, Mingwei, for your sharing. And there's a question from our panel that what are the preferred qualities or knowledge in your current career you want to share with us?
So thanks very much for that question. Yeah, I think two sides of there are two sides here that I wanted to cover. One is on the sort of mentality, almost like the soft skills side of things. Like I said, the example that I gave just now, sort of the education segment and stakeholders who are in this industry overall in the past 2 years, they've experienced such a drastic change. I don't think anybody has seen before. Me, myself, I've been in education for over 12 years now, and I've never seen anything that's so drastic that completely changes the landscape. But if you sort of go a little bit further back in the overall sort of in the overall education industry in the past 10 years, it's been growing really fast, but at the same time, it's also changing so fast. So on the soft side, I think the real important thing is to accept the notion that the world is constantly changing. So how do you manage change? I think that's really an important sort of topic here. And also, on the mental side, I think it's really important to have resilience as a really important quality, realizing that sort of your career trajectory, your life cannot always go as planned or cannot always go well. And therefore, there are times where you have to just deal with challenges and difficulties in your life, whether it's in your work or your personal life and your relationships. And so how do you deal with this in a positive in the positive light? I think that's really important. How do you ensure that you still sort of function properly in challenging times, in times where you have to sort of you have to overcome difficulties. I think that's a really important quality for our students to have. And then sort of on the more hard skills side, I think one of the things I think outside of, obviously having knowledge and everything is, really the opportunity to think critically and strategically and think outside the box. Again, using my career as an example, my current role, just striking that balance between having to push a very traditional organization to really change and innovate is an interesting thing. And there are a lot of stakeholders that you have to engage and try to persuade. And in that sense, sort of, it's always important to think more strategically and critically and take a perspective, always understand what other people are thinking and try to be in their shoes, and then try to possess a skill set that focuses on problem solving. I think those are important qualities as well. So just to sum up, be resilient, be open to change, but also at the same time think critically and strategically. I think those are important qualities, currently, to thrive in any career.
Thank you, Mingwei, for your sharing and answering our questions. So next, let's welcome Wang to share.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, this is my first time using this Zoom to do this sharing screen thing. Please wait 1 second. Anybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Wang from Beijing Open University International Curriculum Center. It's been a great honor to present in this panel. So I hope my sharing about my current job and my past experience can give you some inspirations on your future development, on your career and your professional development as well. Okay, so first, something about my school. Oh, sorry. Okay, so our school name is Beijing Open University. So International Curriculum Center is a section under this university. Beijing Open University is a public university which was founded in 1960 by the Beijing government. So we have a lot of resources from the government support, and also as an international curriculum center, we want to offer a lot of diversified curriculums to students in China, including Chinese students and foreign students who are currently living and studying in China. Like Rona mentioned, there are a lot of partners who've been working together. So we have this Ontario Second School Diploma curriculum, which is cooperated with Education Ministry of Canada. We have A-level courses. We work together with British Council, and also Oxford AQA is our potential partner as well. So for AP, ACT, and SAT is origin from America. So we work together with the College Board, which is an organization offering those international curriculums and also have a lot of professional development workshops as well. So our students mainly focus on studying abroad. So we have to train them or prepare them for their future college application and their university studies. So we have these standard test preparation program like IELTS, TOEFL for students who want to study in the English-speaking country or in the English-speaking programs in the future. And of course, we have this minor language program like Japanese and Korean, because Japan and Korea is also the study destination for our current students as well. So about the diversity environment on campus, our faculty team is also can represent this diversity. We have Chinese teachers, And also we have a huge number of teachers from all over the world. So about 95% of the faculties and staff have international education experience. So I think for me, I can take advantage of this panel is I can do a little bit of recruiting. So if any one of you join us today, interested in working in China or in the capital city, Beijing, you're definitely welcome to contact us and sending your resume to me. I leave my our contact information at the last page. Next is something about me. I will try to keep it within 5 minutes. So, like William introduced, I have been studying and working in the North America, USA and Canada. So I have 2 master degrees in education area. And after that, I really, one thing I really like to do is join a lot of training opportunities. I do like leadership counselor training in University of Pennsylvania, and also counselor training in University of Columbia, and also like IBDP, CEID, like Cambridge Assessment International Examinations, and Oxford AQA. They're also holding a lot of training sessions or workshops, certificate programs. I think this is all opportunities for my future colleagues who join this panel. And also about my work experience. Starting from my college or university study, I've been doing TA internships in different offices at school. And also after I went back to China, I worked in the education relatives department in the government. So I think that experience really helped me a lot to build my career path and in the current position. And after that, like Rona mentioned, there's a lot of international schools from K to 12, and also a lot of international department offices built in the public schools. So there's a lot of positions opening to students who have like international education background or from students who are originally from different countries. And next is about my position. I work as tutor, assistant in the Office of International Education in American, and also to do the international student surveys, because my background is from Asia area. So my specialist is for taking care of students from Asian. And also after that, I am director of outreach and college counseling office before I move to my current position. I hope this can inspire you a little bit about what you want to do in the future. Okay, so Rona gave me the outlines about the sharing. She wants me to mention something about the trend of education in China. So a lot of people will see that international education in China experience different stage, starting from doing simple students and teacher exchange to we introduce and invite teaching methods and international curriculums from Western countries into China, like A-level, like AP, like IB program. So at that stage, these international curriculums are built in public schools, public high schools, and also public colleges and universities. But because of this pandemic, or I think because development of information technology, so a lot of new resources are joining in the Chinese education market. We can see that a lot of more international schools, which is funded by foreign investment, and international colleges and universities are setting up their individual campus in China, such as we have New York University Shanghai campus. We have a Liverpool, an independent campus of Liverpool University in the south part of China. And a lot of this kind of independent campus from foreign universities are happening in China. So I think this trend will keep increasing in the future. Oh, for the rest part, this is not the version that I changed. Okay. So there's a lot of resources are set up in the international education in China. Like I mentioned, the public resources. So my school is represent this part. We are at public university, and a lot of private resources, like the private companies, the private investment are set up their targets in building up schools and their programs in Chinese education market. And again, foreign investment, foreign monies are involved in Chinese education as well. So if you want to seeking future job opportunities, I think there are a lot of opportunities in Chinese market. There's a huge number. They according to the survey that about 86 billion yuan is the future international education market value in China. So I think this means a lot to both of the industry workers in this area in China or abroad. So last part is, I think for the people who want to join in this integrative education, you must be integrative as well. So there are 6 skills I hope we can think about, because when I was recruiting teachers or staff for my school, I really value this 6 elements. The first one is learning and research skills, because just like Ming mentioned, this industry keeps developing and keeps facing a lot of new challenges. So don't stop learning. There is always have new policies, new coming situations for you. So you need to keep on learning and doing the research. And the second one is creative thinking. So for me, at the head of my school, I would like to see a lot of young people join us with new ideas, even if like totally out of like the current situation, but we still encourage the young generations can be creative. And the next one is intercultural communication. Like I said, from our experience, there's Chinese and there's foreign peoples are working in this industry. So intercultural communication is an essential skill for the future participants who want to work in this area. And the number 4 is industrial knowledge. So if you want to recruit interview for a subject teacher, you need to know your subject. You need to know how to plan your lessons, how to do your classroom activities, how to evaluate your teaching assignments. So this is very important for you to know the industry knowledge. If you want to do the marketing, you want to do like admission office, so you need to know the students categories, you need to know the process of how to recruit students to join in your school. Another one is resources integration. So I know that most of you have been during a lot of different education backgrounds, China, UK, maybe different countries. So you must have a huge number of networks, and you have a lot of resources. So resources integration is very important. A lot of people know how to make good use of their resource, then they could be outstanding among their peers. And last but not least is leadership and teamwork, because education is a teamwork. No one can work as an individual in this area. So, okay, last part is our WeChat QR code. So if you want to following us, please scan this QR code, and the right is our email address. So if you want to keep in touch, please send in emails to this address. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Iwan, for your sharing. And there's the same question from our panel, that what are the preferred qualities or preferred knowledges in your current area that you want to share with us?
Okay, I would like to see that when we are recruiting new teachers and staff, we will value their education background. So your education background is very important when you're doing a job in this area. And also that we want to see your working experience, or at least like internship experience, because we hope that when you're joining us, you can start working at that moment. But of course, we will offering a lot of professional development workshops, and you will also be assigned to a tutor as well. I think what else? And certificates. Like I said, when I was in the college, I taking a lot of training opportunities. So I have a lot of certificates who can support my background and my experience. Next one is language skills. So if you want to work in the international education industry, you must know not only Chinese or not only one language. You better have the bilingual skills, so you can communicate and you can do this cross-cultural communication. And last is students' communication experience. So there's a lot of positions or opportunities involved with communicate with students and parents. So it is really important that you know how to talk to them, how to transfer your ideas and your values to the students and parents. So I think that's what I want to share at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Iwan, for your sharing. And what you said about the training or internship, I think it's very important for us students now to like pay more attention to. Yeah, thank you. And next, let's welcome Chaojun to share.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? No? Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. How about now?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for your invitation. And it is a great honor for me to have this opportunity to communicate with our fellow colleagues, as well as young students, the next generation. First of all, I would like to give a very quick introduction about myself. My name is Chaojun, or you can call me Monica. I'm from ASDAN, China, so far, and I'm the vice president and also founding member of ASDAN China. I know many of you may wonder who ASDAN or ASDAN China is. I'll give a very thorough introduction, I hope, in the latter part. So a little bit about myself. My major was English during my college years, and after graduation, I chose my first job as a professional interpreter for an executive board of Sino-Israel joint venture. It had only lasted for 1 year, and I think I'm very lucky in my career as I found my passion in my second job. I was introduced to the founder of ASDAN China, and I was invited to be part of the founding team, and which has engaged me for the following 11 years till now. So basically, I started to learn and grow with this company and with ASDAN China, and find my sparkles in education industry. As I just mentioned, you guys definitely wonder who ASDAN is, and many of you guys may not have heard about us. And so, okay, let's see. Slides. Okay. Okay, now. So ASDAN is actually short for Award Scheme Development and Accreditation Network, and it is a charity and awarding body from the UK, and focusing on skills-based education for about over 40 years. And part of our qualification, like EPQ, are recognized by OFCO and the UCAS. And the organizational purpose is that the advancement of education by providing opportunities for all learners to develop the personal and the social attributes and the levels of achievement through awards and best education resources. So as we grow, the ASDAN China offices have ASDAN China was founded in 2011 and sharing the same vision of ASDAN, and aims to bridge K-12 schools in China with the best and most suitable enrichment programs, which rewards learners' success in a range of skills and settings from age 6 to 18 years old. So far, we run 4 offices in China, namely in Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Chengdu. And our 186 staff members endeavors daily to pursue the same mission. And this is a very broad view of ASDAN China. And this slide shows that the institutions we work with so far in China. As I mentioned, ASDAN China was founded in 2011, and we have been proudly to establish the partnership with over 50 international institutions and organizations, such as Oxford University, Imperial College, Royal Society of Chemistry, UKMT, etc. And so far, we offer more than 200 programs to our network schools, satisfying different needs of students. And ASDAN China by 2021 has become the biggest international, platform of international competitions and enrichment programs for K-12 students. And so far, our current network includes 1,175 schools with annual involvement of 220,000 students. So here's a picture showing this map actually represents our students distribution. The darker area indicate higher participation, mainly from megacities such as Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, and the higher number also reflect the larger number of international schools, as Beijing Open University, just mentioned by Principal Wang. So this is a very brief introduction about ASDAN China. That, as I mentioned, we provide more than 200 programs to the students, and we hope that if there's any chance, we can have more detailed discussion about what we offer later, if anyone interested in that part. And I was also asked about to talk about my personal career. As I mentioned, I worked with ASDAN, I worked in ASDAN for over 11 years. So basically my career actually stands or developed with ASDAN China's development. So here I want to show this picture. This picture actually shows how ASDAN China has developed based on student involvement and schools. Which I think perfectly reflect my learning curve and the career development. And here, I would like to mention that so from my personal experience, the platform you choose is actually very important, as mentioned by the previous panelists. You can engage with a growing company or industry, or if you're on a fast track. Of course, it might require more from you or you need more devotion. So I think I would like to share my experience here. Basically, my experience at ASDAN China there are 3 stages. So the stage 1 is actually for the first 4 years. We actually started the organization from scratch. That is a period or development from 0 to 1. And my key learning from this stage is actually being a good learner and problem solver. As I mentioned, ASDAN China was founded in 2011, which is the time when international education started to roar. With the rising awareness and the willingness of middle class families, quality education, or what we call 素质教育 in Chinese, was paid more attention as well. So facing the huge market potential, we need to learn very fast. And I was deeply involved in all walks of jobs, as everybody did at that time in the company. So from program development, marketing, sales, negotiation, as well as program operation. So as a new platform, we were facing many challenges too. So we also need to be to learn how to be a good problem solver. So if any of you, I see many young faces here today. So if any of you plan to join a startup or being assigned to a new project, so do it now. I really encourage young students to take challenges. Although it is risky, it is very risky. However, you can be awarded with much more responsibilities as well as trust, and you can learn so much from this 0 to 1 experience. And my second stage, like with ASDAN China, is for the next 5 years from 2015 to 2019. The business started growing, and we are and he learned from this experience is actually time management, team management, and communication skills. So your responsibility grow as your organization grow. So at that time, I need to communicate with more schools about the business development, as well as leverage the team member to do more things. This has pushed me to learn how to do management, and you have to do you don't have to do MBA to achieve that. Basically, you read books and you find different models, you try it, and you do by your experience. You learn by your experience. So as a youngster, like new to job market, I would encourage always like proactively see the opportunities to do more, which can allow you to practice your skills. And the third stage, comes of course from COVID-19 onwards. As we all know that COVID-19 has basically brought unprecedented challenges to all the industry in China and abroad. So my key learning from this stage is actually sense of responsibility, strategic thinking, and handling pressures. So we were in real panic, I have to say, that under huge pressure, finding our next steps and where the industry leads us to. When seeing many companies in our fields gave up and went bankrupt. So we were really under lots of pressure, fearing at one moment fearing that we might have face the same problems. Besides self-motivation, I need to motivate the team and coach them to handle the pressures. And I feel the strong sense of the team members and the organization. And that's, I think, one started to be more independent and more mature. So luckily by working with the team, we successfully implement the virtual solutions for all our programs, and the efficient strategic move has quadrupled our scale. So crisis sometimes can be golden. It will train you to be a stronger and more mature individual, and more importantly, always have hope. Always have hope. I think this comes to the end of my presentation. I would say that I still believe in what I do, and with ASDAN, with China opens to the world, and with COVID vanished, I hope very soon, we believe that the demand of international education will continue to grow in China. So that's end of my presentation, and thank you very much for listening. And here, I also would like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you to join ASDAN China. And we would like to work with risk takers and who would like to find your sparks with ASDAN China. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chaojun, for your sharing. And there's also the same question from our panel, that what are the preferred qualities and knowledge in your current career you want to share with us?
That's a very good question. I think my previous, like the previous panelist has mentioned many knowledge and the skills or abilities. We actually share the common view. But here I would like to share one more one more point that I think in our idea, what kind of talent we're looking for. We're actually looking for high potential talents. And there is, I would like to show this PowerPoint as well. What does high potential talents mean? And this is a module called AFAST. Fulfilling aspiration, whether you want to take challenges and taking leading role. And A means agile learning, and always be curious and learn from different aspects, and strategically learn from the mistakes and apply what you learn from your mistakes. Social influence, we're looking for the talents with reliable qualities, and you definitely have positive influence to your fellows, to the people around you. And last but not least, thinking beyond the boundary. As we all know that the society actually in a very fast development, and the job occupation may change day by day, but some core things that for talents stays the same. That's how I see that what a high potential talent should require.
Thank you for your sharing, and what you mentioned about the problem solver and what you made from 0 to 1 really impressed me. And thank you again. And next, let's welcome Al to share your.
Hi, everybody. Let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so let's begin. And hello, everybody. My name is Al, and it's my pleasure to come back here to the CEID community, and thank Will and Rona for inviting me here. And as you can see, I'm just like a newborn baby comparing with the other 3 panelists, but hope me as a new member in the workplace, I can share some of my experience to you, and from a different view. So let's begin. And my topic is working for the opportunity for Chinese students to study art abroad. So there are 3 parts, and the first one is, who am I? So I graduated from Moray House last year. Yeah, I'm just a new graduate student actually, and now I work for Sphinx International Arts Education, and we can call it SFK. And my position is a counselor. Actually, I just work for half years now, so maybe I'm just very close to all of you who attend this meeting today. So this is who am I. And first, I want to introduce my organization to you guys. And SFK is an innovative arts education institution specializing in international arts education, art portfolio training, and overseas art study planning. It is founded in 2011 in New York, and its head office is in Beijing, and this is where I am. And it also has many branches in many provinces in China, like Shanghai, Chengdu, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. So it's very flexible for you if you want to change your workplace. And for the departments now, because we have the service for art portfolio training, and there are many students they want to apply for different majors, or they are interested in many different art fields. So there are 8 academic departments now in our organization, and includes like fashion, industrial and interactive design, fine art and game or animation, or architecture, or graphic and communication design, and also film and music. So besides that, SFK has also the service for international courses like BTech, and specifically it's BTech Level 4 Foundation Diploma in Art and Design. So it's a recognizable certification that can be used for applying British University. And many British universities like UAL or Kingston University, they recognize this as a very authoritative certification. So let's come to our part 2. What did I do? That's about my job or my responsibilities. And in this part, actually, I want to use a theory that I like very much during my postgraduate study. And I think most of you may have read this article if you took philosophy of education during your study. And this is from Biesta 2008. And in the article, he brought up a new word called learnification, and it's a new language of learning, and mainly contains 3 parts like qualification, socialization, and subjectivation. So let's explain it like one by one. And the first one, qualification, it refers to like your knowledge or your skills that maybe you learn from your school, your daily life, or your parents. It's about your knowledge and skills. And the second part is socialization. This is actually about the understanding of your identity. Maybe it can be the understanding of your own culture, or your understanding about your social order. And the third one is subjectivation. I think this is very important because it's all about knowing about yourself. Who are you and what you are really interested in. So these 3 parts actually contribute to what is a really good education. So I located SFK and me to these 3 parts, which means we can do something from these pathways and to contribute to the real good education. I know it's hard, but let's be a bit specifically like where SFK should be. So it is an art education institution. So its main responsibility is should help students to build a strong art foundation, no matter for just interest or for applying universities. And another point is it should help students find what they like or what they have the potential to learn. Just like you take a graphic design course, maybe the tutor will say maybe you are more fit or more suitable for another field. So this should be the responsibility for an art education institution do. So that's why I located I located SFK to the qualification and subjectivation. Oh, I forgot one point. It also should help students find which university or which major is suitable for them to apply, no matter for the undergraduate study or the postgraduate study. So let's come to me. What about me as a counselor? Actually, I would like to call myself a dream realization assistant, because most of my job, I need to communicate with students, and I need to help them build an image for every application. Like, I need to communicate with them first, and then I need to understand them. I need to understand them as a whole person. So that's why I can learn, like, what kind of picture I can build it for you in front of the admissions for your application. So besides that, I also will help them with their application process or some pre-departure matters. So that's why I call myself a dream realization assistant. And I will also locate me as to the subjectivation part, because I need to help the student to find who they really are. Yes, that's this for this part. And that's to be specifically for my job. Like, most of my students are planned to go for undergraduate and postgraduate studies in the UK and the US. So my job is to communicate with students about their experience, and also to know about them and know about what they have done before, or what is your interest, or like why you need to why you choose this major, or why you apply to this school. So after that, I can give some advice to their application documents, like resume and personal statements. That's all very general description of my job. Actually, of course, I want to be in line with the theory I mentioned before, and to contribute a little bit for the good education, because I want to do more than just getting paid and to do something on the surface. What I want to do is to really like to do a real communication with them, and to understand them, and also through all the process, and finally I can build an accurate profile for them, and to reflect their true selves in front of the admissions, and to make universities to see their shining points. So what kind of things I can understand about them, like maybe just like I mentioned before, why the students want to study this major or apply to that university. Or I also can understand about their art portfolio, like what is their inspiration, what is the content, and what is the purpose to do the art project, like what do you want to do through your project to the society. So after all this job, and I can give my advice on writing CV or PS, and the final purpose is to create a complete applicant profile. Yeah, so that's about my job responsibilities. And the third part, I want to share about my feelings about this job. So as you can see, I learned English and education for my own study. But so art is like a really new field. But it is true that I'm also interested in art. So besides this, in my work, I also can have some opportunities to attend art lectures conducted by professors from famous art school, because we have many partnership with many universities. So they will organize some lectures for both students and staff. So that's why I can attend some lectures. Sometimes it's more like some professional art knowledge, but sometimes it will also give some advice on how can you prepare well about your application document. So that's where I can learn from. And the third part is sometimes I can visit students' artworks. It's actually fun, because the they will build their art portfolio in where I am work. So sometimes I can see their artworks, like some sculptures or some installation. They will just put it there. And sometimes I will go to ask, why you do this? What is your purpose? Because when I see the huge things, I want to know why you do this. What is that for? So sometimes I will just to chat with them. And the fourth part is I can share my experience about studying abroad. Because I am graduate from the University of Edinburgh, and there's one thing I'm really proud of is that Edinburgh University is not just good or great in some traditional majors. You know, there's an art college called ECA in the University of Edinburgh. Many of my students treat this as their dream school. So when they know that I'm graduate from there, and they will have many questions to me, and so at this time I can tell them how I feel living in the University of Edinburgh, or I can tell them how beautiful Edinburgh is. So when I see they finally go to the college or they go to the program they want to be in, I will feel a sense of achievement. Yeah, that's all about my job. And actually, I know it's hard, just like I mentioned before, it's really hard to be a pure, really good education. But I hope that me as a little bridge that can help Chinese students have access to the international education. And I hope that they can go to more universities with many resources under my help. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for your watching.
Thank you, IL, for your sharing. And also there's the question, what are the preferred qualities and knowledge in your current career? Like you almost like work for like a year, I think.
Half year, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's interesting because when I go into this company, it's a very busy application season, maybe around November. So there will be many work, and everyone in this company, like, they're very busy. So although there will have some training for me, but most of the time is I need to solve the problem by myself. So I think maybe for me, I think the most important thing for a new person is the ability for quick study, because other people are busy and maybe they have no time for your questions, but you need to ask because you don't know. If you don't know, you can't work. So you need to ask about them, about what you don't understand. And also you need to learn a lot of things about this new job by yourself. So the most, I think, important quality is quick study, and also the ability to communicate. Because during this job, you know, the students are not the only group of people for you to communicate. You also need to communicate with like parents or students' tutors, and the students, like, they have another group of teachers help them to arrange their courses. So it's kind of cross-department communication. What I mean is you need to communicate with a lot of people, even with the admissions in the university. So the ability for communication is very important. And the third part, I think, back to the meaning of education, I think maybe the part that, let me change my words, like, you can serve all the students in one way, like a very right way, but if you choose to serve them for a very right way, or you have the passion to understand them, to find their different parts from others, so you have to choice. So I think if you have the passion to find every student's shining points, I think this may be a very important thing to do. Yeah, I think that's all for my answer.
Thank you. I think your experience and your sharing is like on the upside, like it's the newcomers to the job market or to the workplace. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Excellent. So thanks to all of our panelists. I want to say we've got a few minutes left. Please do add any questions. We've got time for a few questions. While people are thinking about what questions they want to add, either through the chat box or by raising your hand, and really taking advantage of this time. I can see that we already have a question in the chat box from Min Wei. And I think you've seen that already. So Min, I'm going to hand it back over to you to address the question from Chunhua.
So thanks very much, Chunhua. I thought those are incredibly smart questions and really on the point. It shows how much you are already, an expert in Chinese international education. So really glad you asked some of these questions. So let me go through them one by one. How much market share of Oxford AQA in China? Well, we entered China market back in 2017. As a matter of fact, the joint venture of Oxford AQA was founded officially in 2015, I believe, in China was among one of the first regions for Oxford AQA to go in. As a backstory to that is, back in the day in 2017, the management of Oxford AQA didn't consider the China market as one of its launch market because the Middle East and Southeast Asia with all the expats clearly in the region seems to be more logical choices for Oxford AQA to get into, whereas China market back in the day were not too familiar with to some of our UK colleagues. So I was the one advising them about the huge potential for international education in China, the growth potential, China as an emerging market for Oxford AQA. And we made a business case and in 2017 successfully persuaded, the joint venture board to launch Oxford AQA in China as one of its initial markets. So 5 years later now, fast forward to 5 years later now, we now have about 200 Chinese international schools signed up to be Oxford AQA centers. A reference to that is, if you look at the overall China market, there are approximately, if my numbers are correct, between 400 and 500 international schools that are running A-levels and GCSEs. So effectively, we are a little under 50% of overall market share, but obviously there are overlaps with other examination boards, meaning that there are international schools that are running both Oxford AQA, A-levels, and the Cambridge or Pearson edX A-levels. So roughly we are between about 1/3 to about half of overall market share in China. Apart from being an examination and textbook provider, what else do we offer in international education market? I think for Oxford AQA, our purpose is more specifically focuses on the qualifications. With the examination as the center of this, we also offer the teacher training, school support, and other curriculum sort of support to schools. With Oxford University Press, we offer a range of different textbooks for different range groups, different subjects to Chinese learners, not only limited to that of international education, but you're really smart to ask the question about the tightening control over curriculum and exams in China. What do we position ourselves to be? I think that is a really good question, and that question has been sort of discussed and thought over in the past 2 years among all OUP employees and management, and debated over for many times. So that's a really good question. Well, our thinking really is obviously in the past, in a period between 2010, let's say in 2018 and 19, our main business is that of sales of textbooks, or what we call the imported textbooks. So essentially, the way we do things is we work with book importers in China to import our textbooks into China, and then these are sold into Chinese institutions, for example, the likes of Xindongfang or Ruisi or international schools, and then they use that. Obviously, now with the tightening regulations and policy change, that business model isn't viable anymore. So that got us thinking sort of what exactly are OUP's core qualities, what we'll have to offer at the end of the day to Chinese learners. We realize that, books, textbooks, or even examinations are only a vessel to what we wanted to deliver. At the heart of what we do is still, a wealth of content and academic rigor that we wanted to offer Chinese students. So based on that, we've been shifting really in the past, 3 to 4 years in terms of our business model. Instead of just selling our products or our books, namely as they are, we've shifted more in a partnership model, meaning that we're working with local publishers to essentially license across our content into a local published, textbook. That's one of the things that we do. But more importantly, as this digitalization trend going on in international schools, there is the emergence of Chinese edtech companies, the likes of VIP Kids, Himalaya, OneMate, and VIP, 51 Talk. All these internet sort of companies, internet education companies are really coming up and changing the way that people study. So essentially, we've established a model of digital content licensing. We're licensing across our content, but at the same time, we're also providing what we call a consultancy service to these education companies, just to help them sort of build better online learning products that suits the characteristics of Chinese learners. So in a matter of, essentially that's what we were doing. So in a matter of 3 or 4 years, we've managed to really transform our business to essentially a book sales business, to a consultancy business, and a partnership model. I think that's really what is worth thinking about in terms of what in terms of that critical and strategic thinking that I mentioned earlier, sort of as a key core quality in an ever-changing world. Hope that helps. Is there another? In the future, that is going to continue to be sort of our path and strategy forward in the China market as well. Consultancy and sort of and content licensing.
Thank you, Min. So there's another question, and I'm going to ask this to Chaojun and Candy, if you can help Yafeng with her question. Does the level of university play a big role in hiring? So thinking about the type and level of university you come from, do one of you two want to jump in and help? Go ahead, Candy.
Okay, so I will go first. 陆老师没问题哈. Okay. So from my experience, because if you say about like 10 years ago, I do say yes, because the numbers of overseas study students is lower, but currently there are so many students who study abroad. So comparing about their big names, we prefer to have students with highly skills. So when I'm hiring teachers, I will go through the resumes with a holistic view. I will see your graduate, your school, your degree, your education backgrounds, your majors, like your experience, and even your community surveys experience as well. So it's a very complicated process when facing to hire as teachers now, because there are so many students are studying in like top level universities right now all over the world. And as the panelists today, I think all of us know how to help the students to get in this big name universities. Like Al is doing this counselor job. She will help a lot of Chinese students to study in this top arts schools. And for me, we're doing this standard test preparation, we're doing this curriculum support. We know how to help the Chinese students study in like G5, Oxford. But when they're coming back to China, when they're really working in this area, we prefer someone can really do something, who can help the team, who can help the school's development. So the level of university is not that important for my organization.
I actually involved in a lot of recruiting and human resource job in my organization, and also I'm recruiting for my own team as well. I have to say, frankly speaking, the better or the higher ranking of your university, the more chance will give you a chance to do the interview. But that's the only first part we consider the how important your education is, because your university or your education represents your capability to study and your education background. Somehow it is important. But just as Principal Wang mentioned, when talking about the real world working experience, talking about the career development, the more we look into is your inspiration, your willingness to develop with your school or your company or any other organization, and your proactiveness, which also very important. So basically, that's our view of this question. But this is a really, really great question.
Excellent. So I know we are running out of time here, so I want to give panelists one final opportunity to share some advice, tips, suggestions for students. I know a lot of students come to me, and we've heard this before about the importance of experience. And some students come to me concerned, like, how do I get experience if I don't have experience and I need experience to get the job? So that's one thing. If you've got tips on that or any other advice you have for students as we're wrapping things up today, I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to go through each of the panelists, and Rona, I'm going to come back to you too, because I don't want to discount your expertise in this. So Rona, you're going to get the final say here. But I'm going to go ahead and start with Ayao. Ayao, you've got some great, really recent experience. Any tips for those that are, 1 year behind you?
Yeah, I think sometimes, job hunting is like a mutual selection. Maybe you will do the job that you never thought before. That's how I feel, because at first when I hunting for job, actually before I came to the University of Edinburgh, my goal is to find a job related to internet with education, which means maybe it's online education. And there are also very famous company like TikTok. They have some sort of education branches. But after my graduation, there's a policy called double deduction, and that's very huge. Actually, it's very it influenced our job hunting experience. There are also a lot of job opportunities were gone because of this policy. So I was desperate, but I keep finding my job and with many resources, and finally I find the company I am in now. So I think maybe you can open your mind, and maybe you will do a job like you never thought before, but you are suitable for this. So it's like a mutual selection, and you can try to do more interview and to find you find this job if it is suitable for you, and they will find out if this job is suitable for me. So it's like mutual process. What I mean is you can try more, and you will find out. Yeah, that's my advice.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Min, any last words from you for our students?
Yeah, I think in terms of, I would always encourage you to look further than, landing a job is is only going to be the very first step of your career. My advice is to look further at the length of your career. There are going to be times where you feel like it's an uphill battle. Always stay positive, resilient, and try to enjoy the journey. I think that's really the important thing.
Perfect. Principal Wang, final tips for students from you.
Yeah, I think for when you're still at school, try your best to involve in all those opportunities to widen your mind about what you want to do and what kind of position you want to set as your beginning part of your career. And while you are involving in the work market, I will be try your best to stay at the first stage at a stable period. Try 2 to 3 years at your first job to get more experience and to enrich yourself, and then seeking for a higher position or other opportunities. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And Chaojun?
Yeah, my final words or final thoughts are, first of all, enjoy your time at your college or university. Never forget about that, and being positive and being proactive in your academic and social life, and believe that it would improve your different skills. And make a plan, but do accept the fact that the plan can be changed, and stay connected and always be hopeful and positive.
Excellent. Rona, I want to invite you back in. I know you've always got great advice. Any tips for your peers looking for jobs?
Yeah, so for the final advice, I think dream big, but always start small. As we can see, none of the panelists started their career as a manager or a leading figure in their field. So for new graduates, I think it's important that they can grasp their opportunity, work hard, so then you will go further and higher in your career. So start small, it's important.
All right, well, I'm gonna wrap things up. Now, so first, thanks so much for our panelists. Lots of good advice out there, especially on some of the transversal skills, these types of communication, problem solving, critical thinking, being flexible, being willing to take risk and yourself out there. Like lots of great advice. So really appreciate all of our panelists for joining today. I want to give special thanks to Rona for really organizing this, including all the invites to panelists. Really, this is drawing off of her excellent network. So thanks so much, Rona, for helping think through this event and making it something beneficial for all of our students today. Thanks to the event planning team. Jiangmei, I need to correct your name, I'm sorry. So to Jiangmei, Evelyn, Rona, and Minja for all the support behind the scenes and putting this together and then in running the event today. And if you want to know more about the community, please reach out to us on Twitter, or you can check out our research group. So that is it. I really appreciate everybody's time today. It's been a wonderful event. I've learned a whole lot about international education in China. I hope all of you have too. So continue to network and get out there, take a risk. So thanks everybody, and have a great, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.